We heard you. Gimme Jimmy, you said. Gimme Jimmy. And that's what we're doing. AfterBuzz TV's Better Call Saul After Show is here with the Season 2 finale. We're talking Klick. Let's get started.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's Better Call Saul After Show. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. We're talking about the Season 2 finale, Episode 10, Klick. You can tweet me throughout the week, throughout the show, at That's Zach Wilson. Make sure you subscribe to AfterBuzz TV on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, all those places. Subscribe to this podcast specifically. Ways to support. All right, guys, my panel tonight, Kevin Ellis.
How's it going, guys? Kevin Ellis here. You can find me on Twitter at @TheKevinEllis or on Instagram at KevinEllis25. On you, Stephen.
And you can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, STPHNLEMIUX. Oh, I can't believe this season's already over.
I know, it feels like it just started.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's we're done with the season, you guys. I mean, this is an interesting season, just getting to know the characters more intensely, getting to know pieces of their backstory, and seeing characters truly start to become the ones we're familiar with from Breaking Bad. It's been a very interesting season. How do you guys feel about, let's start with this episode, and then we'll talk about the season as a whole. What do you guys think about this episode?
I think it laid a decent foundation to what we already knew. if that kind of reiterates what the episode kind of was. I don't know. There wasn't anything glamorous about it. I think, when we started out in the hospital room, we get more reasons why Chuck and Jimmy are just going head-to-head against one another. And it shows in a relationship between another family member. First, we see the father at the beginning of the season. Now we see the mother, and it's just it's a tumultuous relationship. And and it kind of comes all crumbling down towards the end of the episode as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't feel like it was a finale.
Yeah, I felt very much the same way. This was a great episode, but not...
I'm just kind of pissed. I'm pissed that I have to wait another year to go to the next episode.
It wasn't the ending I was expecting. Not in a way oh, they didn't do the plot twist I was pulling for, or it was such an abrupt ending for a season. It felt like there was another episode left in this part of the story.
Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Completely. There was no real closure, and there was not enough of a cliffhanger to where I felt satisfied with the cliffhanger that they left.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird feeling because it was such a good episode. I watched the episode, this is a great episode of television, a great episode of Better Call Saul. But if I'm gonna compare it to the finale of last season, it's not as good. And if I'm gonna compare it to any finale of a season of Breaking Bad, it's not as good. If I'm gonna compare it to a mid-season finale, then it kind of makes sense, and it looks like this seems like a mid-season finale.
I think that's a good way of putting it. This felt like a mid-season thing where you're oh, I'm intrigued, but it's coming back in a month, so I'm okay.
3 months, yeah, you're okay, but
we're not getting it back for another year.
The one thing I like is that it shows that they had complete confidence in getting a season 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, if that had been the end of the show, we would watch. That would have been the noise that you heard.
They had
the country collectively, the AMC audience collectively.
Their writers are smart, and I trust them. And I can say that the fact that they were so confident in getting a season 3, everything in this season was basically just set up for the next season. This felt like half a season. So
did it feel kind of like season 2 of Breaking Bad, where I felt like there was a lot of relationship building and a lot of relationship problems between, between Skyler and it just kind of felt like the same kind of feel as to what they're building up to introducing another villain role, possibly the same villain in season 3.
Yeah, when you have a first season, you're just trying to get things going, get people into it, get people excited, get prove that you have a story to tell. Season 2 is where you can really spend time getting to know who your characters are and developing them out. I guess the difference in terms of finales, though, like Breaking Bad season 2, it's a minor spoiler alert, ended with a plane exploding, and that's like a big whoa. What it does is it caps something that you've slowly built over the year, and but then sets up like craziness to come. This set up a really interesting next step, but the fallout from this tape doesn't feel like it's a 10 episode arc that we're going to spend all of next season dealing with.
I disagree. I mean, I could say it could be.
Is that something that we want to watch, though?
Like, if it leads into something more, then that's great. That something more is, I think, what generally you see a season finale giving you hint of, is like, this isn't over, it's only just begun. Like, there's a whole other part of it you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Like, Mike's storyline. That is how a season finale arc ends, because Mike was on this Hector Salamanca, I'm gonna take care of this guy, like he's on that. He doesn't do it, and so that story is going to continue, but it twists that there's another player in the game, and we'll get into towards the end of the a little later what we think is going to happen, is like who we think might have left that note. I think we all know, but we'll talk about it later, because I want to focus on Jimmy right now and the way we ended. But like it twists, and then season 3 for Mike is going to be something wildly different. Season 3 for Jimmy, I'm not sure how different it's going to be from season 2. Yeah.
Kind of feels the same. I agree. I feel like it's going to be more the same. Just a lot of back and forth bickering.
But let's get positive, you guys. Let's go back to the top of this episode and talk about all the things that we liked about it. Because it started out just 0 to 60. Because like the instant they open on that shot of Jimmy sitting in the hospital, and like you can Father Brady's in the chapel. Just hit, like, you just dial and you'll get him. And then, oh my God, I thought Chuck was dead. I thought that was, I totally would have bought this show killing off Chuck to mess with Jimmy. And then the nurse moving the reveal.
Yeah.
It's great.
That we're in the past and it's his mom.
Yeah.
What do you think of this scene? The fact that Chuck's whole thing with Jimmy is that he always leaves people. And at this moment, he leaves to get sandwiches. And that's when his mom decides to wake up and didn't say anything to Chuck, only said Jimmy. And Chuck's decision to not tell Jimmy that. So do you agree with Chuck's decision to not tell Jimmy? Because there's the person I was watching with said that no, he has a right to know, but then it's kind of a protectionary measure because, you know, how would you feel if you just left the room, your parent woke up for the last time, said your name, and you weren't there? Like, would you rather know that, or would you rather live your life thinking that they never woke up?
Oh, I felt that was very cold.
Yeah, to me that was not about maybe there's a person out there who would not tell him for those reasons. That's not Chuck's reasons, if you ask me. Because she's calling out for Jimmy, and Chuck is so hurt by that. He's just so, like, do you guys think he doesn't tell him like out of spite for Jimmy for leaving, or is this more of a like is he just mad that his mom's last words?
Yeah.
Like, his mom's last words were his brother's name, his brother who he doesn't like.
Awkward.
I think there was, you could see right beforehand, he starts, crying, breaking down. Just beforehand, you can see the care and love that he has for his mom, and for him to be alongside, he's not going to leave his mom no matter what. He's going to go hungry no matter what. But Jimmy, on the other hand, he, and as silly as it is. I mean, he's going out to get sandwiches for them. You know, not a big deal. Nothing like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the casino, guys. I'm gonna go, you know, spend a couple grand. Like, it's not that. It's, you know, so clearly there's more to this meaning, and it's years of pent up resentment towards his brother, and possibly, you know, who knows what the backstory is between, you know, the mom, Chuck, and Jimmy, and possibly favoritism along the way. But clearly, it was just a cold-hearted move.
I thought this was a very real scene, though. The reactions, like, I mean, I can speak from experience. Like, when my grandfather's in the hospital, like, I didn't show any emotion outwardly until I was alone in the room. Like, you don't want anyone else to know that you're feeling that. And I feel like Jimmy hasn't seen that side of Chuck. I feel like Chuck does a good job of hiding it from him. So when will we get Chuck actually showing Jimmy that side of him?
I mean, we've seen hints of it. Where, you know, he said he loved him. That was episode 7, 8, something like that. Where he starts choking up a little bit, saying that he loves him. There's that, you know, there's that reveal. He clearly does, but he wants to put him in his place.
I think what this scene really showed is just how guarded Chuck is. Like,
True.
He can't even be seen crying for his mother. Like, his mother is dying, and he won't even let his brother see him cry. Like, he holds on to that emotion when anyone else is present. Like, even when the nurse comes in, his mom literally just died within the last minute. And as soon as the nurse enters, he's cold business face. Like, so what do we do next? Like, he doesn't even care. Like, he's mad at Jimmy, but, like, he doesn't even outwardly seem to care. And yes, everybody deals with grief their own way. And for Chuck, like, he has to present a strong face. That's how he deals. But it's just like that's just him not letting anyone in.
It'll be interesting to see if we're ever shown what transpired with his wife's own death and how that affected him.
Well, do we know she's dead?
Yeah, I don't remember actually hearing that.
You're right. That was a little presumptuous, but we'll
Why are you so eager to kill his wife?
She was a stage actress. One of the lights fell down and hit her, causing Chuck to... No, I'm totally making stuff up at that point. I mean, do you want to move forward to... Of course, he goes through the CAT scan. I mean, that scene where the upside down camera shot, disorienting shots, trying to put you in his place a bit. And it's interesting what they do to the viewer here, because you obviously know everything Chuck is experiencing is fake. I mean, he doesn't really have a illness. But the fact of the matter is, the way they filmed it and the way he's acted is... This is like one of those shows where the person's awake during surgery and can't say anything, and it's very frustrating and it's very hard to watch because you're just like, come on, just listen to him, guys, come on, and nobody's listening to him because, you know, if you were in that situation, you'd be so angry.
Yeah,
completely.
No, he's shouting for them to let him go. Like, don't do that. I do not give my consent.
Habeas corpus. You know it. You know it.
He just shouts at that poor doctor has had to deal with him twice.
I know.
Probably more than twice. Twice since we've seen it.
Yeah.
But the first time she was trying to convince Jimmy to commit him.
Yeah. It's but I mean, it's tough. What do you there's every chance, like, medical conditions get discovered sometimes, especially like rare things. Like, it must be really hard when somebody comes in claiming something crazy like that seems to affect them physically. Like, he physically reacts, whether it's real or not. He does react. He does feel pain in one way or another around electricity. How could you deal, like, with that person when they need this treatment but they are refusing it?
I mean, it's really interesting to me because you look at the scene where he's in the catatonic state, right? After the CAT scan. And his eyes are open, he's there. Have you ever had, like, one of those moments where you're, like, sitting down but you don't really want to move? Like, you're just like, you know you could, but you're like, I just really don't want to expend the effort.
Do it.
I just don't want to expend the effort to move my hand. And slowly you start forgetting that your hand's even wherever it is, and you just, like, are so focused. I feel like that's what he got to. He got to the point in his mind where he knew that he could move, but he also was in the same mind state of, I can't move because of the CAT scan. So it's like two things battling him, and finally 20 hours later, he like was like, okay, I guess I can move now. I don't know. It's really, really weird.
I think what's starting to fascinate me more, and like I really hope that season 3 like pays it off. Is like I want to know what triggered this illness. Like a mental breakdown of this sort is something that clearly had an outward cause. Like either it was a death if Rebecca did die, or she left him for any like, or she cheated on, like something that somehow is connected to electricity.
Well, they had the lights in the house when he was with his wife, so it was before then. The lights were different.
It was after then that he had the breakdown.
I know, but I'm saying back when we see the flashback of him with his wife cooking dinner for Jimmy, already we can see that they're using special lighting, and they're using lights they're turning all of the lights off that they don't need to use.
Well, I didn't sense that there was anything that was being particularly done.
Like the whole scene was in cold blue lighting with very dim lighting and very.
I think
weird
that lighting was weird. That just might have been their lighting.
I think that was just to give you that flashback, because we actually the scene with his mother had this similar blue tint to it. I think that's just their style choice for separating flashbacks and present day.
I completely disagree, because I've watched the scene a few times, and people in the chat had mentioned something when the episode. I unfortunately wasn't here when you were covering that episode. The lighting was so different than anything, and it was very highlighted. They're using different kind of light bulbs, and it's like LED, and like there's the buzzing and everything. It's not like a normal lighting. They added a buzz sound effect. I think that Chuck didn't originally have this disease. I think his wife was the one who instilled it in him, and if maybe she died some way, it would just go to the nth degree inside of him. It's like when you date a girl who's a vegan, you end up eating a lot of vegan food. And then if she goes away, like, you might think that, you dive harder into it. You're into your OCD, whatever you want to call it.
It's possible.
So I think her leaving the situation could have been what caused his whatever you want to call it, electrostimulus disorder.
Yeah, I mean, definitely her leaving or whatever her situation was. But okay, interesting. I did not put that together.
I'll have to go back and rewatch it. I don't remember it being anything to do with electricity. But either way, Chuck is going to crazy lengths once he gets out of the hospital.
He's going to Jimmy lengths.
Yeah. Well, this temporary emergency guardianship, like I wasn't sure how it was going to affect him coming out, because he was definitely surprised that Jimmy, like, he knew Jimmy was going to do it. It made sense. Like, the logical part of him was like, of course Jimmy's going to use this.
But Ernesto even said, like, Jimmy, man, he's doing everything he can to come after you.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing everything to take you down.
Oh, man. Ernesto.
Backing up Jimmy. I missed the mail room.
True, bro.
Ernie just representing. The way he's been talking about you lately, Jimmy, it's like he's really out to get you. And I don't know, you're my friend. Like,
it was
oh
sweet.
my God.
It was so sweet.
I wanted to give him a hug. Like, it was such an awesome moment, and just like a beautiful, like, quick performance that, like, this character became so three-dimensional in 30 seconds.
Walking down a hospital hall saying, man, I missed the mailroom. Like, I can relate, man. This is tough.
It's a great line.
Do you think Jimmy should have committed him?
Chuck?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily believe that he should have.
I mean,
he
Chuck
still loves his brother.
It's a tough call because Chuck needs it. Chuck absolutely needs to get serious help from a professional. He is deep into whatever mental illness this is.
I wouldn't say it is deep, though. I think it's only onset by extreme stress.
No, but
just like any kind of panic attack for just about anybody. I think it's onset just by an incident that is brought on in a situation where it's completely stress induced.
But he's at a point where people cannot have their watch on next to him, or
It wasn't like that, though. It's only on set since he had this whole incident with Jimmy backstabbing him over Mesa Verde.
No, for years Jimmy. You have to leave your watch and your phone in the mailbox.
But it got better when he actually was able to go to work. He was going to HHM, and people were leaving their electronics on. They weren't turning off the lights. Like, he got to that point by the end of the season.
Then he would go home and have a huge meltdown. Like, so he was getting better.
He's
but
picking up.
The point is, fine, he was learning to deal with it. This guy is seriously mentally ill. Like, if you think that a watch is causing you pain because of electricity, you need to go to therapy. And
of course.
Like something that intense probably would need to be inpatient.
Dude, you're just shaming him for him self-identifying as a lightning pole.
Oh man. But yeah, so
he's making a Faraday cube out of his house by putting up apparently
it was elaborate,
quickly delivered space sheeting everywhere, which is pretty cool. I mean, I can give him props.
That must have been a fun, like that, and the garage must have been so much fun to production design.
Where was the disco ball though? He needed a disco ball.
Oh my god, that room would be so like amazing if you had like laser lights in there.
So
he
gets home from the hospital. Jimmy leaves finally, and he goes into the garage and pulls something out. What did you guys think it was going to be at this point?
I'll be honest, I had no idea.
Nope.
I didn't know.
No, nothing. You?
I thought it was something electrical, and then as soon as Jimmy's in the room with him and he's talking, I knew it was a tape.
Yeah. Because it was clearly something electrical. That's the whole garage.
But like I'm saying, like as soon as he was having a conversation with Jimmy, and it was him leaving HHM and Jimmy was convincing, I was like, okay, cool. He's recording this conversation and Jimmy's about to get screwed over royally.
What do you think about the lack of empathy that Jimmy had at the end of the conversation? I thought it was a little surprising. Like, he's like, I mean, your word versus mine. It wasn't necessarily the same kind of feelings that he had earlier on in the conversation. It was just a little contradictory to the sentiment that he had earlier on, where he was trying to protect his brother. I felt that it was a little off.
Well, I mean, at that point, because at that point he's responding to Chuck saying, like, you realize you just admit, like, confess to a felony, which is like that's what you're taking away from this.
Yeah.
Like, not you came out with this like big secret because you knew I needed help. Like, that's the whole thing for Jimmy, is that what this is demonstrating is a true brotherly love. Like, nothing is like that. In this episode we see, like, for definitive proof, nothing is more important to Jimmy than Chuck's safety and that he is well. He is willing to blow his cover on something where Chuck is trying to destroy him because his brother gets hurt. He is willing to confess that crime so that his brother doesn't throw away his career that he's worked his whole life for.
And his brother's the complete opposite.
His brother's just...
As soon as he's in the hospital, he's like, tells Jimmy what he did, and it's time to get Jimmy to confess. Then he gets home, he gets the tape recorder, sets Jimmy up. Now we get the end of the episode with him hitting this tape recorder. And before we talk about, like, what you think, you know, he's gonna do with that tape that has Jimmy's confession on it, I want you to confess something to me, Zach.
I'm ready.
Do you like golf?
I do.
Would you play fantasy sports with golf if you could make money off of it?
I'm sorry, there's money?
There's money.
Yeah, man.
Guys, whether you're a golf's biggest fan or just ready to try a new fantasy sport, you can play 1 week fantasy golf for free every week at DraftKings.com. Just pick 6 golfers before a tournament tees off. Stay under the salary cap and rack up points for streaks, per hole performance, and tournament finishes, and more. If you outscore the competition, you could win real life dollars, guys. Only DraftKings brings the excitement of golf to this level. It even raises the excitement of golf, because, like, I didn't used to watch it, but then when I got the DraftKings, like, I'm like,
very dull.
Oh, no, come on. The Masters is amazing.
Let me tell you something. Like, ever since DraftKings, when you have money at stake and you can make money, you're like, yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you're so into it.
That's
you're
what I'm saying. Golf, the sport, dull. Golf where there's money on it, yeah.
No, DraftKings great. I love golf. You can shut up.
I play golf. I can't watch it.
I don't care what you're saying. I love
Major
golf,
tournaments.
and I love DraftKings with golf, guys. And guess what? Millions of sports fans, just like you've already discovered it, and they're already winning. So it's now your turn to get in the action. Fantasy golf contests begin when tournaments tee off. So hurry to DraftKings.com now to choose your golfers, and be sure to use promo code BUZZ to play for free. That's BUZZ to play for free. Again, DraftKings.com, promo code BUZZ.
I'm going to check that out. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors, DraftKings.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get back in. So...
What do you think he's going to use the tape for?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I guess it comes down to New Mexico, like, law, because, like, use of unauthorized recordings in court vary very much state to state, and I'm not up on my 2002 New Mexico recording laws, unfortunately. But I would think that it wouldn't hold up in court.
He's in his own house.
Okay.
Having a conversation with somebody.
It doesn't. I mean, in certain, again, in New York State, that would not hold up. You cannot record somebody without their consent and then use it in a court of law. It could be fair play in New Mexico. I think but that does not mean that he can't go to Mesa Verde and play them the tape and get Kim fired.
Well, that's one option. Kevin, you've been wanting to talk for 30 seconds.
I think that it might actually, we might get what we really want from this series. And I think that there's a distinct possibility where he might be disbarred. He can no longer use the legal name, James McGill, and go after a new legal name. Somehow he'll find somebody to be able to switch his name. And I think we might get Saul Goodman finally. After some serious earth-shattering ending between his relationship with Chuck. That's my thought.
I don't think Chuck would ever bring the tape to a court of law. I think the one thing that he's never... Because Jimmy would just talk his way out of it, or Jimmy would just go on to the next thing. He doesn't want to send his brother to jail. He wants his brother to quit law. The tape is blackmail. That's what I think. I think Chuck brings the tape to Jimmy's attention in basically saying that it's going to be sent to so many different places unless you tell Kim to bring Mesa Verde back to HHM and work at HHM again, cut off all ties with her, change your name, and never do law under the name of James McGill again.
Oh, like so
he'll think Chuck wants to protect Kim because Kim already stood up to Chuck for this, and she could get dragged into it. So I think
Chuck likes Kim. He still respects her.
He likes Kim, but he can also use Kim against Jimmy because literally at this point, Kim's an accessory.
Yeah.
So all Chuck has to say is this tape will ruin her career. It will ruin your career. All you have to do is cut ties with Kim, let her come back to HHM, and you change your name and do whatever the hell you want with the rest of your life.
Totally valid.
Even nothing. I don't even think he would be demanding that she come back to HHM, but like you leave her alone. You don't talk to her. You don't talk to me. You don't operate as a McGill ever again, and this doesn't go public. Especially as he's presenting himself, as we saw in his awesome new commercial.
God, so good.
Jimmy is like, he's like, gimme Jimmy. What is, well, not just a lawyer you can trust. Like we get the first instance of the our favorite catchphrase, but he does what he says and he says what he does, and if it comes out very publicly that he has committed fraud and lied to many people, it's gonna shut him down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, not a good place to be in.
But the kid's got moxie, I tell you, moxie.
And luckily, Chuck won't have to worry about seeing any of his commercials because Chuck doesn't watch TV.
That's a very good point. And yeah, he doesn't have radio or anything. No.
So who do you think wrote the note for? Well, let's talk about Mike.
Let's go over and talk about Mike. All right. This was an awesome part of the episode, right? I mean,
I liked it.
Gun.
I felt like it could have been a little bit more
Poor
satisfactory,
driver.
but
We will never again hear the singing voice of Hector.
It's Jimenez.
Jimenez, sorry. Hector's the
boss.
My bad.
But yeah, I like when they first go into that shot, I wasn't sure if it was him. I was like, oh man, is that the guy? Oh my god, they're just gonna kill him. And I don't even hesitate. They're just like, you messed up, dude.
It's cartel, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You sing a song, get your tires blown out.
And if you look, there's this quick little like moment with Mike when he realizes who it is that they're about to kill, where you can tell he feels bad.
Well,
like
yeah.
even though this guy works for the cartel, this is like not a good guy by any means. This is a second person that his robbery has gotten killed. One, just a good person, who just got caught up, and now like a guy who's like, he's not the worst. He's not good either, but he's dead now. Like he didn't, even in Mike's opinion, he didn't deserve to die for his crimes.
I am still alive. I just have a hole in my head.
He just stands up out of the grave.
It hurts very, very bad. Would one of you twins please come help me get out of this grave?
If only they could get Will Ferrell as a guest spot in this series.
That would be, if Will Ferrell guest starred in Better Call Saul, would be the weirdest twist casting.
What are you gonna do, Kimosabi? Gonna shoot me? Gonna put me in a grave?
All right. Let's get back on track here. We can keep our recap straight, just like Mike's shot with the M40 that he buys off of the only gun dealer in Albuquerque.
That'd be like a minute and a half to the left. All right.
Mike's such a badass. He's just like, yep, dead center target, 200 yards out or wherever. I'm just guessing their distance.
Yeah. Pretty good shot.
Yeah.
For a
kind
cop,
of a badass,
for a cop, I mean, it's pretty damn good. I mean, I know he was a nom, and you know he was in the military, but man,
Mike knows how many clicks out. Mike knows how many clicks out.
It's also such a change between when we see him washing the blood off the gun when his hand is like shaking, and to now where he's just so calm, ready to pull the trigger against somebody.
He's determined. I think this is the difference of he's not scared. First of all, he's not scared for his granddaughter or himself anymore.
Yeah.
This is tactical Mike. This is Mike going out saying, I caused damage to the world. To a person. A real person died because of me. If Mike knows anything, it's fixing problems. I think that's safe to say between what we've known from season 1 of Better Call Saul, season 2 of Better Call Saul, all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, Mike knows how to fix.
He knows wearing knee pads too. He looks pretty badass in that brown. He was like, yeah.
And elbow pads. He's just
he's ready for anything.
He's like, I might have to be here for a while.
You know, I might have to ride a Razor scooter back home. Have my pads ready. But no, this scene was great. They really milked you for the suspense too, because freaking Nacho just standing in front of Hector the whole time. You're like, God damn it!
And like it almost was to the point where I'm like, does Nacho know he's there? And I know he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But it just was like, get out of the way, Nacho. Do you guys think that Mike should have shot Hector through Nacho?
I think he was contemplating it. I think there was a moment where he was deliberately keeping the shot on Nacho, considering shooting through him. Even like what he even moved down just a little bit so he could shoot through his body, and then he just kind of put his finger off the trigger. And I felt his pain because he's so close, and the desire is real. Like he really wants to get rid of Hector, and I think it's beyond business. It's pure personal at this point in time.
Yeah. I mean, he very much like, it's so tough. Like, what do you do? What do you do if like Nacho is sort of like the best of the bad guys kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like of the cartel, he's like he has honor at the very least.
But he stole my baseball cards.
I mean, he only steals from other thieves.
I told him to use the low quality polish, but he used the no quality polish on my yellow Hummer.
Is that what he said after the massage?
No, not at all. Not at all. He just mentioned polish and all this stuff before they took it to the chop shop. And broke his little heart. Plus, he's only got one shot, honestly. I mean, to look at it realistically, he didn't take the guy up on the offer for ammo that could pierce through anything. So if he tried to shoot Hector through Nacho, it probably wouldn't have gone through.
That's fair.
Because he's a lot farther away now than he was for the target practice he was doing, and he was using regular bullets. Plus, he's using a gun that doesn't have an automatic reload. It is a rifle that you have to manually load each shot into. So by the time he's loaded a second bullet in, taken aim, everyone is going to be behind cover. He gets one shot.
Yeah.
You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow Hector Salamanca away with the rifle.
Oh my God.
You went there.
His palms are sweaty.
I hate you.
Knee pads, elbows ready.
Mike doesn't vomit though.
There's a don't note on his car already.
All right, so don't. So all right, it's Gus, right? Like
nope.
Kevin.
Yes, it's Gus. Shady.
I don't think it's Gus.
Okay.
I think it's somebody under the instruction of Gus.
Okay. Well, we're splitting hairs at that point. Gus, I'm saying Gus is responsible for the note. If you guys like this wasn't. I mean, it got more or less confirmed last night. Not that it was necessarily Gus that left the note, but that Gus is going to be involved in season 3. Those of you who have been watching along or have been seeing any of the rumors on the internet know about the Fring's back anagram. If you take one letter, the first letter from every episode title this season, is an anagram for Fring's back. And last night on AMC's Talking Saul, like Hardwick asked Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan about it, and they were like, all they kept saying was, "We did not anticipate how smart our fans are." So they didn't outright say, yes, it's true, but yeah, they said it.
But I love how hopefully deals have been done. At least they know that because he's on the Netflix series The Get Down, I guess, that's going to premiere in September. So which was Sony produced, but it's appearing on Netflix. So you have to hope that at least he can recur on Saul.
Yeah, I mean, look, he doesn't have to be there for the whole season to be involved. And I have to think, if they're going to do something crazy like this title game, they know they can at least get him for an appearance.
I mean, hypothetically, it could have actually been Fring that delivered the note. I just don't see him out in the desert. Does that make sense? I see him having people watching Salamanca who would also in turn see what Mike is doing and call Fring and be like, "Hey, there's a guy over here about to snipe Salamanca. What do you want us to do?" The note was very reminiscent to when Walter White was outside of his house and parks his car and has the gun and is about to walk up to his house, and he just receives a call on his phone that says, "What are you doing? Get in the car and go home." That's it. It's very calm. You don't need a whole sentence. You don't need a whole paragraph. It just says don't.
Yeah.
I liked how he figured out how it was his car, though, because he hears the horns, and he looks at their cars and sees that the guy's not reacting, and then looks at their cars, sees the guy's not reacting, and he's like, "That's my car."
Wait a minute. Oh, no! And he's just like...
I have the tiger plays.
But I loved, and again, just Jonathan Banks freaking owning his performance in this. When he that look of fear on his face when he's going back to his car and spinning around with the pistol, just what set this off? This isn't an alarm. This isn't his car alarm. This isn't somebody is doing this and he's looking for the person, but it's just a stick.
Sometimes you're driving You park, a piece of dry wood falls through your window while your car is standing still.
And there's a piece of trash from like somebody threw a note out their truck window, and it blows through the air like Forrest Gump feather style, and it slides under your windshield wiper.
I can't wait for the GIFs people are gonna make of this scene with all the different things that the paper will say. He'll like pick it up and be like, jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams, or like he'll pick it up and be like, you lost the game, or it'll pick it up and says OP is whatever you want.
It's like beware the next bald man you meet. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I'm so intrigued to see how that's gonna unfold, because if it is Gus, well, on that, I mean, do you guys have any other thoughts about this episode or like this season as a whole before we get into some predictions?
I just feel like there's another episode.
Yeah. No, I mean, we talked about that at the top. Like like especially at the way the Jimmy storyline finished out this season, it felt like there was one more episode to go to like close out this this like chapter of his story.
I love that at the law offices there's all these old people, and he leaves Kim to get them coffee.
Yes.
And donuts.
Yeah, coffee and donuts if we have some left.
I'd like coffee, but I don't want cream. I like that they left the rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I saw that. I was like, what
choice.
is that?
I'd like to think Jimmy will.
It's because
be playing the same role for Kim, though.
the rainbow bridges their two law practices together.
Oh, I will say that there's nothing worse than waiting tables and going up to a table of like 6 to 8 elderly people, and they all order coffee, because it's like, I'd like mine with no sugar, I'd like mine with cream and sugar, I'd like mine with cream but only Splenda, I'd like mine with no cream, but everything is different. You're like writing down paragraphs just to take the order of these 6 coffee drinks. So I got a kick out of that scene, because I was like, oh my god.
Flashbacks.
No, well, because you literally walk up to a table, anyone want dessert or coffee? I'll have coffee. Everyone raises their hand.
It's like war flashbacks.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do predictions.
Yeah.
And now,
Those of you just listening to this, Stephen and I have little squeezable gavels. That's what the
with that
banging
one.
is. Yeah, I ran out. I
Gavelless.
forgot the third one.
Here, Kevin. You can have mine.
All right,
buddy.
so as if it is Gus who left the note, I would have to think, like, if I'm predicting, I have to think like this is where it's like, don't kill him. He is a necessary piece as I build my own empire to destroy him. Or he just doesn't want him taken out that quickly. He's like, no, he must suffer.
Well, and if we're assuming that they're doing business together in some capacity, he might fear that the cartel is going to think that he himself had killed Hector, and he doesn't want that either.
To be perfectly honest, since Hector talked to Mike at the diner, I think that Fring has been watching Mike. I think people watching Hector saw what happened with Mike, saw how it went down, saw everything, and have been observing him ever since then. I mean, because to be perfectly honest, when you look at Breaking Bad and you look at how Fring is, he's very thorough and he's very careful. And Mike has, from the diner till now, has proven that he is both of those things.
Yeah.
He's proven to be somebody who doesn't act with emotion most of the time. He follows through on his plans, thinks them through very carefully, and doesn't want to get caught. He's very careful with every step of the way. So when he's now one step away from putting a bullet in Hector Salamanca, one of the heads of the cartel, without Hector being aware of it, that's pretty like, you got to give like a round of applause for that. Like, oh my God, you got this close to this guy without him knowing you're there. That's value. But unfortunately, if you kill him right now, your entire family's probably going to be murdered, and it's going to mess up business for me. So don't do it. But in the meanwhile, I got a great opportunity for you. I see Mike going back home and Fring being in his house.
I love it. It's like he walks in and he's right there.
Yeah, unarmed.
Proposition.
Unarmed, just sitting in a chair. Just sitting in one of his chairs, just waiting for him. I'm like, I would like to talk to you about something.
No, he's got a bag of Chilean ingredients. He's like, let's cook a meal together.
Oh my God.
Mike's just like, what is happening right now? Whereas like Walter, when that happened, he's like, okay. Mike's like, I don't understand why we're cooking.
Let's make a special sprinkler for your flowers.
Yeah, I mean, I think in season 3, it could very well be about like them sort of getting to that point. I mean, I'm still like I think in season 3 we're gonna get a lot of Jimmy coming over to work with Mike and or Nacho. I think that's something that we've been playing towards that we haven't gotten, and I think that will basically come. As I'm thinking about this, like, so I'm thinking Chuck is probably going to discredit Jimmy with the tape, one way or the other, which is going to destroy his elder care practice. But as soon as he realizes, okay, I can't, legitimate clients won't listen to me. There are some illegitimate ones that will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he gets wrapped up in stuff with the cartel, with Nacho, or Ignacio, as we'll eventually call him. So from Breaking Bad.
I'm going to throw one more thing out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the driver was one of Fring's men, not one of Hector's men.
Oh.
Because he saw the blue car. They made it a point of the driver having seen the blue car. But what if he told Fring that and did not tell Hector that? And that's how Fring found Mike. So
Definitely see that.
Yeah. I do think that there is much more left for Mike to figure out. Any last thoughts, guys, as we close out the finale of Better Call Saul here at AfterBuzz TV?
I just want more.
Looking forward to the next episode.
I want more. I don't want to wait a year,
A year.
AMC. I mean, give these writers time to make the good TV that they make. But still, I want a Magic Time Machine TV that gives me what it will be airing.
Reward us with Saul Goodman.
Not till like next March or something. I know that they talked about it again on Bet and Talking Saul that they're like 10 days into writing, or like 15 something. They're like just barely writing.
Come on, T-Mobile.
Season
I want
3.
unlimited calls to Saul.
Yeah.
All right, we got to
And
wrap.
on that note, on that wonderful note, we're going to finish out the season. Thank you guys so much for joining us all season to talk about Better Call Saul here at AfterBuzz. Thank you to our fantastic sponsor, DraftKings. And you guys have been a blast. Real quick, just to shout out the name, thank you to Call Him Hero on iTunes, who left us a review. He said, gives 5 stars and said, great podcast. Thank you so much. So until next year, Stephen Lemieux.
Find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, SCBHNLEMIUX, and go ahead and check out DraftKings. Play your first week free for using the promo code BUZZ, BUZZ, at DraftKings.com.
Good deal. The Kevin Ellis on Twitter and Kevin Ellis25 on Instagram. Awesome, guys.
Yeah. And you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at that Zach Wilson, THATZACHWILSON. And also here at on a whole bunch of shows, including the Daredevil show where we're finishing up the watch this week, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and a whole bunch more. Guys, until next season, we have been the Better Call Saul After Show, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Better call you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.